What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sports Degenerate podcast. We are officially into the second round of the NBA playoffs, and some of the playoffs in the first round weren't so good. They were blowouts, but some of them were very good. That's usually how the first round of the playoffs go. But for this video, we're basically just going to review the first round, talk about how my predictions went, if I was right, what I was wrong about, and kind of just go over the main points of each series. So, yeah, we have a lot of series to get into. Let's hop into it. So let's get into the Cavaliers versus the Heat. My prediction before the series was the Cavs would win in 5. The results, it was an absolute domination. The Cavs swept the Heat. The Heat were just outmatched in the series, plain and simple. The lowest winning margin for the Cavs in the series was 9 points. Every other game but that one, they won by double digits. Just a domination, man, domination. Cleveland shot over 43% from 3 on the series. Not just one game. The whole series, they shot over 43%. Miami just doesn't have the roster to keep up with that. Like, if Cleveland shoots like that, they're going to be hard to beat. Miami also didn't have a single player on the roster score 20 points per game. Tyler Hero, their best scorer, didn't score 20 points. If Cleveland's going to shoot over 43% from 3 and you don't have a 20-point scorer, yeah, I'm not surprised they got swept. And on top of that, the Heat turned the ball over 15 times per game. The Cavs defense was locking them up. Just think about that. The Cavs shot 43% from 3. The Heat turned the ball over 15 times per game. And the Heat didn't have a player score 20 points per game. Duh. Of course it was a sweep, guys. Of course. Cleveland's double big lineup of Mobley and Allen gave Miami trouble scoring inside. It's just one of those things where if you're not shooting that well from outside and then you also can't slash because of Mobley and Allen, it's just the Heat were outmatched. There's not much they can do. Andrew Wiggins isn't that good of a three-point shooter. Davion Mitchell's an okay three-point shooter. The Heat just don't have shooters in their lineup, really. And then Duncan Robinson, he's supposed to be a good three-point shooter. He played terrible in the series. So the Heat roster isn't built to just shoot from the outside. They're more of an inside team. And the Cleveland double big lineup shut that down. I thought the Heat would still win when it went to Miami. You know, Miami crowd. They have a veteran team. They have a veteran coach. I thought they would be able to win one in Miami. But the Cavs just have too much offensive depth. It's crazy, man. They have Donovan Mitchell, obviously. But then off the bench, DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome. They were putting up crazy numbers. The Cavs had too much depth. And that's why it was an easy sweep. We'll hop into Pacers versus Bucks next. My prediction before the series was Pacers win in 6. The result, Pacers win in 5. The Bucks just had no chance without Damian Lillard. I said that before the series started. With no Dame, they don't have the offense, and it showed itself in the series. It just sucks what happened to Dame, bro. His career as a high-level player is most likely over. He's a small guard. I think he's over 35 years old, torn Achilles. It sucks, man. I like Damian Lillard. The Bucks' defense is really bad. I said that before the series started. They can't guard anyone. We knew that. We knew that going into the series, and they allowed over 117 points per game in this series. It's hard to win like that if you don't have offense. All 5 of the Pacers starters averaged 15 points per game or more. The Bucks just don't have the roster. If the starters are averaging over 60 per game by themselves, it's tough, man. The Bucks just don't have that, man. They don't. I don't like the way the Bucks constructed their lineup. I don't know. That's a whole different story, but yeah, man. The Bucks' second leading scorer was Gary Trent, who he had some big games. He had multiple 30-point games. I give him credit. But we saw in that last game, you don't want to rely on Gary Trent. He basically lost them that last game by turning the ball over twice in overtime. Gary Trent is a role player. We know that. He's not a player you want to have to rely on to be your second leading scorer. Giannis is great, man. We know he's great. He's one of the best players in the world. But there's only so much he can do on his own. He gave it his all. I give him credit. I'm not a huge fan of Giannis, but I have to give him credit. He did all he could do in this series. This series is pretty simple, man. The Bucks' defense is bad, and they didn't have the scoring to make up for it. I give Indiana credit, though. They had a very good series. They knew how to attack the Bucks, and they were very successful. They played very clean, very smart basketball. I give them credit, guys. 100%, it was a good series by Indiana. Next, we'll hop into Celtics versus Magic. So this is the only time I predicted a sweep. I thought the Celtics would sweep the Magic, but I was wrong. The result was the Celtics won in 5, so they won in a gentleman's sweep. Like I said before the series started, Orlando doesn't have the offense to keep up with Boston. And we saw that. I will give Orlando's defense credit. We knew that their defense was good. I knew they were a very high-rated defense in the normal season. But even still, they impressed me. They were elite in this series. They did a very good job of shutting down the Celtics offense. The Magic held Boston to only 106 points per game, which is almost 10 points fewer than what the Celtics averaged in the normal season. Great job. The Magic also limited three-point attempts. We know the Celtics want to shoot threes. The Celtics coach, he always says, we want to put up 53s per game. He always says that. But Orlando held the Celtics to shoot only 31 three-pointers per game. To give you some reference, to give you some type of reference there, the Celtics shot 48 per game in the normal season. So Orlando did a very good job of making the Celtics beat them in a way they're not used to. But it doesn't really matter, though. They did a good job, but it doesn't matter because Boston also has a good defense. They held Orlando to only 93 points per game, under 100 points per game. That's a great job. And like we knew, Orlando literally only has Paulo and Franz Wagner on offense, who they played really well. They were amazing in the series. They made some crazy shots, some clutch shots. They played very well. But it just isn't enough. You can't just have two guys. You can't win like that. Boston's offensive depth was just too much for Orlando. But Orlando has a good future. That duo of Paulo and Franz, if they can get some good guys around them, they can definitely make a good playoff run in the future. So I like the Orlando team, but right now, Boston was just too much. Next, let's do Knicks versus Pistons. My prediction before the series was that the Knicks would win in 5, and the result was the Knicks won in 6 games. The Pistons really impressed me. I didn't think the Pistons would play as well as they did. Every game came down to the wire. This series easily could have went Detroit's favor because every game was close. But the Pistons are just too young and inexperienced. They made a lot of mistakes in that game, and that was the difference in this series. Detroit actually had leads late in games. There were multiple times in the series where it was late in the fourth quarter and Detroit had a lead. We saw it in the game 6, the closeout game. I think Detroit was up by more than 10 with 2 or 3 minutes left, and they just couldn't close it out, man. They couldn't close it out. That's just inexperience. There's not much Detroit can do. That you just have to kind of learn from those mistakes when you're a young team. And another thing was that Detroit averaged over 15 turnovers per game. That's inexperience. That's sloppiness. It's hard to win like that. Another thing is Detroit needs one more reliable scorer other than Cade Cunningham. Maybe if Jaden Ivey was healthy in the series, it wouldn't have made a difference. I don't know. Maybe. I will say their veterans like Tim Hardaway, Tobias Harris, Schroeder, Malik Beasley, those guys played very well. They stepped up. They outperformed what they usually do offensively. But those are just guys you don't want to rely on offensively. Those are guys you want to have as extra guys that if they have a good game, it's an extra. The Pistons need one more scorer going forward. But this team has a bright future, especially with Cade. Cade is a superstar. On New York side of the ball, they had 4 guys over 15 points per game. Their starting lineup other than Josh Hart. So Towns, Brunson, Bridges, and Anunoby all had over 15 points per game. The Pistons just don't have the roster to keep up with that. It's not much they can do. The Knicks didn't have great defensive stats during the normal season, but I said before the series started, I think those normal season stats were kind of misleading because they have elite defenders. OG Anunoby, elite defender who has done it in the playoffs. Mikal Bridges, elite defender that has done it in the playoffs. Same with Josh Hart, elite defender that has done it in the playoffs. I knew those guys would step up, and they did, and that was a big reason why the Knicks won. But, like I said, I was impressed by the Pistons. But the Knicks just have way more experience, way more talent offensively, and that was the difference in the series. Next, we'll hop into Thunder versus Grizzlies. My prediction before the series started was that the Thunder would win in 5, but this series was also a domination. The Thunder won in 4 and swept the Grizzlies. OKC just showed everyone they are on a whole nother level. They have the best combination of offense and defense. I said that before the first round started, and then seeing this, I still believe that. They definitely have the best combo. Memphis just had no answers for the size of the Thunder on both sides of the ball. Offensively and defensively, the Memphis just couldn't deal with the Thunder's size. OKC dominated on the glass and points in the paint the whole series. Literally every single game, OKC had more rebounds and more points in the paint. Memphis is a slashing style offense, and OKC's size just didn't allow them to get to the rim. They forced Memphis to beat them by shooting threes, and Memphis just doesn't have the roster to do that. Like, Ja isn't that good of a shooter. You don't want Jaren Jackson can shoot threes, he can make threes, but you don't want him like shooting threes like as his only way to score. Desmond Bane is a pretty good 3-point shooter. He's like the only one on the team that's pretty consistent from three. It's just one of those things where OKC made Memphis beat them in a way they don't want to. They made them live and die by the three, and Memphis does not want to do that. And OKC was like, go ahead, beat us by shooting threes. And like we all expect, they can't do that. They just don't have the roster for that. Memphis also averaged over 15 turnovers per game. It's hard to win like that. This series was pretty much similar to the Heat and Cavs one. The Memphis didn't have enough scoring. They turned the ball over. You can't win like that, man. If Ja would have stayed healthy, they would have won one game because they were up by like 30 points in that game before Ja got hurt. But other than that, like Ja staying healthy wouldn't have won the series for them. It really wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day. But they at least would have won one if Ja stayed healthy. But either way, it's an utter domination by the Thunder. Next, we'll do Timberwolves versus Lakers. I got this one way wrong. Super wrong. My prediction was Lakers in 6. The result, Timberwolves in 5. They gentlemen swept the Lakers. The product that the Lakers put out is absolutely embarrassing. I knew the Lakers defense was bad, but not this bad. They made Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert look like all-pro players. Like, it was ridiculous. Those guys were scoring at will. Those guys aren't good. Those guys are role players. They shouldn't be putting up numbers like that. I also knew the Lakers had a depth problem. I said that before the series started. But not this big of a problem. I will give Rui credit. Rui had a good series offensively. I think it was close to like 15 points per game. But like literally, it was LeBron, Luka, and Reeves, and Rui. And then everyone else was literally like, I think everyone else averaged like 6 points per game. Like, it was crazy, bro. Like, you can't hit a couple threes. Like, it was ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And another thing, we knew the Lakers had a big problem. We knew Jackson Hayes wasn't going to cut it. We knew that. But man, they made Rudy Gobert look like a Hall of Famer. And I'm a Rudy Gobert hater. You guys know that. Rudy Gobert is not a playoff player. He gets exposed in the playoffs every year. But not against the Lakers. They made Rudy Gobert look crazy, bro. Like, oh my God, they got torched. And I don't understand what JJ Redick was doing running that small ball lineup. It just, I don't know, man. They should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed. And same as last postseason, the same thing happened last postseason when the Lakers played the Nuggets. The Lakers had leads in the fourth quarter multiple times, and they couldn't close it out. And that just doesn't make sense to me. If you have LeBron and Luka, guys that are clutch, guys that can score at will, that are smart with the ball, have IQ, how can you not close out a fourth quarter lead with players like that? It just doesn't make any sense to me how they can't do that. Like, LeBron, what are we doing here? And I'm not a Lakers fan. I'm a Celtics fan. Like, I just expected more from the Lakers. Minnesota dominated on the boards, had more reliable scoring, had less turnovers. They dominated in every stat. Literally almost every single stat they dominated in. It was so embarrassing by the Lakers. LeBron, Luka, and JJ Redick should be embarrassed. They went out sad, man. And I did not expect that to happen. Next, we got Nuggets versus Clippers. I also got this one wrong. I got this one wrong as well. I predicted that the Clippers would win in 6, and the results, the Nuggets won in 7 games. This was my favorite series of the first round. Every game was electric, man. Every game down to the wire. I picked the Clippers because I thought they were the better team, and even after them losing, I still think they are the better team. I still truly believe that. LA has more depth. They have a better lineup. I just think they have more talent on their team, offensively and defensively. But Denver outplayed them, and they made less mistakes. That was the series right there. That was the difference. Denver's defense was not great in the normal season. They were I think below average, maybe around 17th or 18th if I remember correctly. But man, they were really impressive in this series. They played really good defensively. Harden and Kawhi had to work for their buckets. What they basically did is they put a lot of pressure on Harden and Kawhi, and they were either like, you're going to hit a tough shot on us, or you're going to pass it up to someone that we don't mind shooting, and it worked very well. And surprising thing that was very surprising to me, Denver forced a lot of turnovers. The Clippers are a veteran team that shouldn't be turning the ball over in the playoffs, but Denver forced a lot of turnovers in this series. I was very impressed by Denver's defense. We knew, and then offensively for the Nuggets, we knew Jokic and Murray were going to get theirs. We knew that. They're going to put up good numbers. We knew that. But man, Aaron Gordon and Russell Westbrook stepped up and were huge in this series. Aaron Gordon was almost at 19 points per game, and he outscored James Harden. He had more points than James Harden per game in this series, which is very impressive. And then Westbrook went crazy. He was at almost 14 points per game off the bench. And the most surprising part was that he was over 40% from three on the series. He was knocking down threes. If Russell Westbrook shooting 40% from three, man, you're probably going to lose. You're probably going to lose if he's shooting like that. The Clippers' defense was great, like expected. They played very good defensively. They made Jokic and Murray work defensively. Jokic turned the ball over more than he usually does. It was great defense. But if Gordon and Westbrook score like that, the Nuggets are going to be hard to beat. If next series against the Thunder, if Gordon and Westbrook are like that, the Nuggets have a real chance, man. But it sucks, man. I was rooting for the Clippers. I was rooting for Kawhi. I like Kawhi Leonard. That's what, and I don't know, man. I was wrong. The Nuggets proved me wrong. They really did. And then we'll end with the Warriors versus the Rockets. So my prediction was that the Warriors would win in 6. And the result, Warriors won in a game 7. I thought the Warriors would be more dominant in this series. Houston really impressed me. Houston's defensive coaching and scheme gave the Warriors trouble all series. I give Udoka credit, man. He was great. His scheme was great. And they have the players to do it. They have great defensive talent as well. Rocket held Curry under 20 points twice in this series, which is impressive. And Curry shot under 40% from 3 on the series. Also impressive. They did a very good job of making it hard for Curry to do what he does best. Houston's size with Sengun and Adams dominated the Warriors and gave them trouble all series. When they rolled that double big lineup out, they dominated the Warriors, man. It was crazy to see. It was crazy to see, man, because we know Steven Adams. He's just a rebounder, just a defender. He has no offensive talent, but it didn't matter. They still dominated. Houston just doesn't have enough consistent scoring. That's their downfall. Jalen Green only had one good game. I'm not a Jalen Green fan. You guys know that. He's so inconsistent for a 4-year player. I'm not a fan of him. Van Vliet was not consistent. He had some big games, but then he had a couple games under like 15 points, under 10 points. Brooks disappeared. Dylan Brooks, the last 2 games of the series, disappeared, and it was like under 10 points per game. The first 4 games of the series, he was at like 15, but then he just disappeared. And it was like that for the whole lineup. The whole lineup just wasn't consistent. Houston lacks experience. They lack a true number 1 scorer, but they do have a bright future. Great coaching, great defense. In my opinion, what they need to do, they need to go get Kevin Durant. If they go get Kevin Durant and they get a scorer who can score at will, who can close games out, they are going to be a dangerous team. But for right now, they just don't have enough experience. That's why the Warriors won. The talent and experience of Curry and Butler pushed the Warriors over the edge. If it's a close game and you have Curry and Butler, you're probably going to win. And it showed in this series. But impressive showing by Houston. I will give them credit. So those are all the series from round 1. I am super excited for these round 2 matchups. I think every team matches up pretty good against each other. I don't see a single series that goes less than 6 games in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about the second round. And stay tuned. I'm going to post some more content that is second round related after I post this one. So stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I love all of you.